People who work night shifts in skyscrapers often talk about strange things. Phantom elevator calls, unexplained power surges, entire hallways that feel colder than the rest of the building. But none of those rumors compare to the story of Ethan Calder, a maintenance worker whose disappearance was tied to a floor that officially never existed. His case became a whispered legend, buried, denied, scrubbed from every official record, yet never fully erased. The few who know the truth say the cover-up only made the story darker. It began in the winter of 2019, during one of those long night shifts when the entire building felt abandoned. Ethan was making his usual rounds through the service corridors of Trump Tower, checking equipment and logging repairs. He wasn't special, not the curious type, and certainly not someone who chased conspiracies, but he was observant, and that's exactly what doomed him. At 2:40 a.m., he passed the service elevator on the west side of the building. The elevator panel flickered, then lit up with a floor number he had never seen before, 46. Now, anyone who knows the building knows one thing. There is no 46th floor. The numbering jumps from 45 to 47 because of a mechanical mezzanine. It's standard, documented, unquestionable. Every employee knew that, but the elevator was already rising, as if responding to a silent command. The security footage, later leaked, shows Ethan staring, confused, then stepping inside. He crouched behind a stack of boxes, hiding where the cameras couldn't see him. For nearly 20 minutes, nothing happened. Then the doors closed on their own. The elevator rose, higher, higher, past the floors everyone knew. Then it slowed. The display glowed with impossible certainty. 46. The doors opened to a hallway that didn't belong in any blueprint. The walls were raw concrete, the lighting harsh and uneven, like an abandoned bunker. The air smelled of dust, metal, and something faintly electrical. Ethan walked forward, following a faint humming sound, steady, mechanical, unnatural. At the end of the hallway, he found a door wedged open with a piece of broken plastic. Inside was a hidden monitoring room. It wasn't large, just enough to hold rows of computer racks and a wall of screens, dozens of monitors, flickering with live footage. But the footage wasn't from the building. Some screens showed apartments across the city. Others seemed to be from places far away, different time zones, different countries, bedrooms, living rooms, bathrooms, spaces that were clearly private, spaces people assumed were safe. On one monitor, a family slept. On another, a politician sat at his desk. On a third, a woman brushed her hair by a mirror, completely unaware of the tiny black dot above the frame, watching everything. Folders labeled KEY Subex, assets under observation, uncooperative targets, potential leverage scrolled across the bottom of several screens. Someone was watching them, someone powerful, someone who believed they were untouchable. Ethan staggered backward, horrified. Whatever this floor was, it wasn't meant to be found, and whoever built it wasn't doing it for security, but for control. Shaken, he left the room and rode the elevator back down. That was the moment everything changed. At 3:30 a.m., Ethan confided in the only coworker he trusted, Caleb Ramos, another night shift employee. Caleb later said Ethan looked drained, terrified, and desperately certain. He kept repeating the same sentence. There shouldn't be a 46th floor, but it's there. It's real. Caleb tried to reassure him, but he didn't believe the story. Not at first. He dismissed it as sleep deprivation or stress. But Ethan refused to let it go. He said he needed proof, pictures, video, anything. Against Caleb's warnings, he went back. At 4:12 a.m., Ethan stepped into the service elevator with a small digital camera. The doors closed, and the elevator began to rise again, even though he hadn't touched a button. Security logs later showed the system registered an override code. Though no credentials were used, the elevator stopped. 46. When the doors reopened, Ethan walked out. The footage stops there. There are no more records of him ever returning. He didn't clock out. He didn't go home. By morning, he was gone. 12 hours later, management announced that Ethan had left his position voluntarily. They claimed he cleaned out his locker, though the belongings inside clearly hadn't been touched. They said he turned in his uniform, though it was later found in the lost and found bin. They insisted he simply walked out and never returned. But surveillance footage from the exits showed no sign of him. When reporters asked about the 46th floor, they were brushed off. A misunderstanding, a misreading of the panel, possibly a malfunction. Management even released blueprints showing no such floor. Case closed, except for one thing. The maintenance logs for that night were overwritten, not edited, erased and rewritten into a completely new file. The original data never resurfaced. The elevator camera footage for the entire night was corrupted, and the technician responsible for backups quit unexpectedly 2 days later, vanishing just as completely as Ethan. That's when Caleb decided to investigate. He reached out to security contractors, former building employees, and even a few engineers involved in the original planning phases. Several hinted, off the record, that many skyscrapers contain unlisted mechanical floors used for private operations, surveillance, intelligence gathering, black site data centers. But none would admit to knowing about the one Ethan discovered. Then, weeks later, Caleb found a small, unmarked envelope on his car seat. Inside was a flash drive, 3 files, a blurred image of a concrete hallway, a photo of the monitoring room, taken from a low angle, likely in a hurry, a text file, a single line, "I can't leave, they won't let me." Caleb is convinced Ethan sent it. Others believe someone wanted him to think that. By the time Caleb tried to share the files, 2 men in dark suits appeared at his workplace claiming to be from a federal safety agency. They confiscated the drive and issued a threat. "Discuss this again, and you lose everything." Caleb stopped talking to the public, but privately, he shared chilling details. He said the elevator sometimes paused between 45 and 47, longer than it should, as if waiting for someone. He claimed security guards reported hearing electrical humming behind sealed walls. One whistleblower told him that the 46th floor might not exist at all times, only when activated by a hidden command. A ghost floor, a floor that appears only for certain people, a floor that selects who can see it. Management still denies everything. Unexplained incidents since the disappearance. Over the next months, several strange incidents occurred. Elevators opening on empty floors with no call button pressed. Lights flickering at exactly 3 a.m. The time Ethan vanished. A guard heard faint knocking behind a concrete maintenance wall, as though someone trapped inside was trying to signal for help. A new employee reported a hallway that vanished after he stepped away for a moment. Some even whispered about seeing blurred silhouettes reflected in the elevator doors, figures standing behind them when no one else was there, disappearing the moment they turned around. Others claimed faint whispers or electrical buzzing that seemed to respond to someone's movement, as if the building itself were alive. All of them were silenced. Their reports were deleted, their accounts corrected, their statements changed. Some were reassigned quietly, others left suddenly, unable to explain the chilling sense of being watched. The official line remains simple. There is no 46th floor in the Trump Tower. There never was. There never will be. But those who believe Ethan's story know better. They say the truth is hidden not in the blueprints, not in the structure, but in the elevator system itself. They say the building contains architecture the public wasn't meant to understand, sections that shift, floors that appear only for certain access codes, hallways that no longer match their original layout, and rooms that exist one moment and vanish the next. And sometimes, late at night, the service elevator behaves strangely. Workers claim it opens its doors without being called. The panel lights up. The number 46 flickers for half a second, like a warning or an invitation, as if the floor is still there, waiting. Some believe Ethan is still alive. Others think he was silenced for what he saw. Some whisper that he is trapped somewhere between floors, moving endlessly through corridors that appear and disappear at will, a ghost of the building itself. But one thing is certain, whatever he discovered that night, he was never meant to return from it. So if you ever find yourself alone in a skyscraper after midnight and a silent elevator opens for you, check the panel carefully. And if you see 46 glowing faintly, don't step inside.